Okay, welcome to the Holy Hive Show. Today on the podcast, modest is hottest, except when it comes to viral infections. Utahns think masks are overkill during the global pandemic. Also, we're going to do some conspiracy theories about Lagoon and why they might have an underground zoo where they hold local artists captive. And Utah bars are asking for a life raft from Utah lawmakers as they attempt to sell booze to go. All right, let's go. Yeah, so we have been talking about this idea about putting together a website where we could put up blogs and video content and podcasts for Utah. And this is an idea that we've kind of been bouncing around for a few years. And I've worked for a few radio stations here in Utah, mostly under the Broadway media umbrella. So they own like X96 and U92, ESPN 700. So I've been around radio and stuff like that. But we just really thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to create a website where we could make Utah content that wasn't like local news. It was more
audience driven, you know. It's not so much journalism, capital J journalism, so much as just observational, you know, like
we're going to talk about things that are going on in Utah, and in no way are we professionals on any of this stuff, and we are not trying to solve any of it. If anything, we're just kind of trying to take the piss out of things. Okay, so Utahns and masks.
Yeah, let's get into it.
What is going on?
A lot of Utahns are unmasking themselves, you could say.
And taking pride in it,
showing
too.
their true colors, I think.
Did you see the town hall meeting they had in Utah County?
I did. It was pretty gross.
It was
pretty gross. I was really confused specifically by some of the people like around, and look, hats off to these people for wearing a mask, but I was confused at the people wearing masks at the anti-mask rally. Like, there are people kind of around the edge of the room wearing masks, and I support those people, obviously, but
yeah,
you're at an anti-mask rally. It was all confusing. I am glad that they postponed it, and it does seem as if the man in charge of that meeting, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he has been pretty active on Twitter, kind of, you know, denouncing that sort of behavior, and I think that's a good thing.
So what we're talking about is there was this meeting in Utah County. A bunch of parents are very concerned about how local schools are going to approach masks. I read an article from Mac Jones at KSL. During this meeting, this guy, Bill Lee, when he stepped up to address the crowd, he took his mask off and people actually cheered.
Yeah.
I don't understand what
he's a hero.
For taking off his mask. Yeah. I really don't understand the pride behind it. Like, no, it's fine if you don't like wearing, I don't necessarily like wearing a mask, but it's the risk that it mitigates is so much higher than like the slight uncomfortable feeling of wearing a mask. It's like really not that bad at all.
Yeah.
But that's just personal. I'm not going to say that anyone's wrong or right for not liking it, but think of other people.
Yeah, you don't have to like it. I understand not liking it, you know, especially if you have some dog shit breath, but
that's a whole other problem with wearing a mask is do you ever just get a whiff of it?
I saw a picture on the internet. It was just like what it smells like inside my mask, and it was just like a Snickers bar shoved inside of a pickle. And I'm like,
that's close.
It's pretty good.
That's the worst mask breath.
Yeah.
But it also, I think that's good because one of the I guess positive benefits of this whole pandemic is that people are kind of watching their hygiene a little bit more.
Yeah,
people are really washing their hands.
It raises bad breath awareness, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking at themselves in the mirror these days, like, what have I been doing?
Yeah. But maybe that's it. Maybe these people are just so sick of smelling their own dog shit breath that they're like, we will not abide these mask mandates.
Absolutely.
I'm sick of smelling my breath. So to get inside the mind of some of these people, I was like, what better place to try to understand the arguments of the people who don't want to wear masks than to go to Facebook.
Yeah, that's always a great plan.
Yeah, and because Facebook is the last bastion of productive discussion in our great country. That's where problems are being solved. That's where people go to understand other people's experiences with empathy. And so I thought, let's try to understand why people don't want to wear masks. These are actual comments pulled from stories, pulled from people's reactions to stories that KSL and Fox 13 were posting. So comment number 1, and again, these are quoted verbatim comments. I did not doctor these in any way. So comment number 1, the populations mostly affected are younger and Hispanic. Worrying about whether shoppers in Draper are wearing masks in Harmon's or Cafe Rio is not helping. That was a good drop. And I'm not like a huge fan of the Karen meme.
Sure.
But if there was ever a prime example of the Karen meme, it would be a woman complaining about Hispanic people causing mask mandates and it impeding on her trips to Cafe Rio.
Yeah, absolutely.
By all the gods, if this woman has to wear a mask to Cafe Rio, the streets will run green with tomatillo ranch dressing, and she will take her business to Costa Vida.
It is delicious dressing, though.
It is really good.
So good.
Yeah. I'll talk shit on Cafe Rio all day, but that ranch dressing is
Yeah, as will I.
the whitest, tastiest shit ever.
And honestly, they do shouts to Cafe Rio for having vanilla Coke on fountain at all times.
Yeah, that's nice too.
That stuff is
Ooh,
unbelievable.
and ice too.
Yeah.
See, now we've just like
Dang
this.
it.
Yeah, we've
Full
devolved
circle.
into just Cafe Rio. This is a Cafe Rio masturbatory podcast. We're just
Yeah.
going to talk about the nugget ice. Okay, comment number 2. They, meaning the government, will assuredly continue to abide by unsubstantiated guidelines that will include a vaccine and many other communist implementations. We are only free as long as we fight to be free. Oppression comes when we choose to do nothing.
What did the communists ever do to this guy?
I know. The communism is just one of those words where it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because we do communist things in our government right
Mhm.
now. But they think of it like, you do one little thing and it makes the whole country communist.
It's right up there with ironic, Everybody thinks everything is ironic.
Or
but
literally.
Or literally, yeah.
Everything is literally communist.
Everything is literally communist. Exactly.
So I thought this was funny because he's saying essentially mask mandate equals everyone in line sheeple.
Yep.
And then they roll the hard stuff on us, the vaccines. So when they have a vaccine, they're going to make us all get the vaccine, and that's how the communists attack.
Exactly.
So I found a list of 6 vaccines that you're supposed to get, or you're required to get by the state before you start kindergarten. So this is stuff that, if we're all up to snuff on our vaccines, stuff that we've all got vaccines for. So diphtheria. Do you know what diphtheria is?
No. And guess what? I'm never going to learn.
Yeah.
Because I have a vaccine for it.
Polio. Again.
I do know what that one is, actually. That one's pretty famous.
That's the FDR.
Yeah.
Measles, mumps, rubella. So that's all in one vaccine. You can knock 3 of those
Yeah,
out
and
one shot.
there was some measles drama a few years ago. I specifically remember there was
Disneyland too. There was like a little measles outbreak.
some real measles issues,
Hepatitis A,
Cool.
hepatitis B,
Better.
and I think it's pronounced varicella, which is just chickenpox. So it's chickenpox vaccine.
Varicella sounds really fancy. Like it, honestly, I don't know why we ever started calling it chickenpox when varicella. Well, that's probably why, because people are like, "Ooh, varicella."
Yeah,
like it
it's
almost
too
sounds
appealing.
like a soft cheese.
That's how they that's how they rebranded chickenpox. They were just like varicella sounds too cool.
We need to call it chickenpox.
But yeah, chickenpox. But yeah, varicella sounds like a bottle of like champagne that rappers drink or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Pop a bottle varicella. Anyway, so communism has already invaded Utah, and they're responsible for eradicating polio. So thank you, communists.
Shouts to communists.
Shout out to communism.
Down with polio.
Do we got to drop for shouts out to communism?
I don't.
I guess it works.
I'll get the layout.
Yeah,
down.
we need. Yeah,
I'll
we
get
get
the layout.
Let's
down.
do. We need a shout out drop. Okay, so comment number 3. This is the last one, and it might be my favorite. If I choose not to protect myself, that's my choice. If you're wearing a mask, you've made your choice. Mine does not affect you.
Yeah.
So when I first saw this comment, I honestly thought it was a troll, and I was like, that guy's playing it a little too over the plate.
Yeah.
For people to get it. And then I just like kept reading through the comment board, and that same guy was basically just repeating that same thing. He's like, make your choice. You can live the way that you want to live. I can live the way that I want to live. My choice doesn't affect you. And it's kind of scary because it's like shows that there's a lot of people in Utah that just don't understand the concept of what a contagion is.
Yeah.
And that's pretty scary.
In a pandemic, pretty much everyone's actions affects everyone else.
Yeah.
It's,
It's so frustrating.
It truly is. And like, it just shows a complete lack of, I just think compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
Like they just think that they're in their own little bubble. And maybe if you live on your own farm, you got acres of land and you don't need to go anywhere, that's fine. But that is still actually someone's action, not affecting someone because they're just living on a farm.
Yeah. If I was like I understand if you're living in a small town in the middle of like central Utah and there's less than 500 people in the whole town and, around there people aren't really getting sick and stuff and you don't have a lot of people coming through and you're like, yeah, we're going to take it a little easier. Maybe like whoever the leader of that town is, like, that's fine. Shit's going down here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wear your mask.
I mean, like, in terms of, not to rewind too far, but like Governor Herbert announced today that he's kind of altering the way that we color code our counties. So currently Salt Lake County is in orange. That's our color code. They are changing it so that children in Salt Lake can now go to school. Even though we're in code orange. That before today, that was not going to be allowed. It was going to be all online. I mean, Salt Lake County has 50% of all of the cases in Utah. That's just one county.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more difficult than just like, well, we should let them go to school because it's important.
Yeah. So rather than like change the color that we're at, he's saying
we're going to change the rules
description
of the
or the definition of each color.
And it's like, why do we have colors anywhere,
Yeah. Or why don't we just add more colors? We can get every color on the rainbow. We're in code pink.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, again, we're not trying to figure this out. We're not experts in viral infections or anything like that. Or
in raising children, honestly.
Yeah. So. Or in policy, state policy or anything like that.
Yeah.
It is my opinion that you should wear a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, I assume that you have bad breath and
you don't want to smell it.
And also you just don't brush your teeth.
Yeah, and
that's the only judgment I'll make.
You lack compassion.
And you lack compassion
for
your fellow man. So please wear a mask.
Please.
There's like this kind of distrust with like the CDC and the people that are like the more national and worldwide organizations that are supposed to handle this type of thing.
Yeah.
And I understand that when they come out and they say one thing, and you kind of abide by it, and then they come out and say something that's kind of counterintuitive to the first thing, it might feel like they don't know what they're talking about, but also the CDC is like made up of scientists and publicists.
Yeah.
It's not just like one type of person. Like it's all just a group of scientists saying, okay, let's update the Facebook page with what we think is going on today. And so like people were like, at first they said, you shouldn't wear a mask. And now they're saying everyone should wear a mask. And it's like, well, at the beginning of this pandemic, like, first of all, I don't know if you remember the toilet paper episode of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We were running out of supplies. Like we weren't producing stuff quick enough. And if the CDC is like, okay, everyone's buying up everything we like they're buying up masks that we need in hospitals and stuff like that, it might not be out of the realm of possibility for someone in the CDC to say, you know what, this doesn't protect you from, like particles still get through masks. Mm-hmm. So maybe we should just be like, social distance, don't worry about the mask thing.
Yeah.
And then, another month into it, they're like, okay, people are not like staying indoors. So.
Well, the disease is less than a year old.
Yeah.
We're learning. I mean, obviously we're going to have to change some things because we're learning new things about it every single day. And science is essentially just trial and error and trying to figure things out. So like you can't just be like, oh, they got one thing wrong. They got everything wrong. They're trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And, I understand that there is a section of this country and a section of the world really that is really against just the idea of science, I guess. And, that's
or like intellectualism,
science.
I understand like the stuffiness of intellectualism.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like listening to science podcasts and stuff like that, but I like people who talk about science in a more casual kind of way.
Sure.
If people take the kind of NPR approach to things where they're just like, it's so stuffy and kind of buttoned up, and it's kind of, you can kind of tell like some of these people are up their own asses.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that either.
No.
But like I understand that there's people that are smarter than me that are paid to figure these things out and have been studying these things for a long time. And I don't know. It's alarming, but I would say, I mean, do what you want, but like please listen to scientists.
Mm-hmm.
Please. One of the bigger arguments with the whole mask thing is that it's an infringement on civil liberties.
Sure.
That you can't tell me what to wear on my face. And so I wanted to make a quick, just like little mini list of the top 3 things required by law in Utah that we have to wear. So these are things that if you don't wear, you could get in trouble, fine, things like that. So number 1, a seatbelt.
Yes.
So you're required by law to wear a seatbelt. What are your seatbelt habits like?
I wear a seatbelt all the time.
Are you pretty diligent about it?
Yeah, and even before cars started yelling at you to wear your seatbelt, I was a pretty big seatbelt guy.
That was honestly the biggest fix for that industry or for the seatbelt
really,
thing. It's just your car won't shut up.
Yeah, maybe you're having my car beep at me a minute, and it seems like everybody's down. But no, I'm pretty adamant that I wear a seatbelt and that everybody else in my car wears a seatbelt.
Yeah. Do you think it's an infringement on your freedom that seatbelts are required by law?
No, because a driver's license isn't a right; it's a privilege.
It's a good point.
And so they get to kind of add, qualifiers for that privilege.
Yeah. Okay.
A speed limit isn't a infringement on my rights.
No.
So
yeah, and it's like, again,
don't put airbags in my car.
Yeah.
If I want my face to hit the steering wheel,
that's my God-given right
to hit the steering wheel.
People that's the problem with the freedom argument is people just take it. It's like, it's my freedom.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if people are free from my actions. It's my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dumb. Okay. Number 2, life jackets. At least while tubing on rivers and floating, which is big here in Utah. Like,
sure.
That's like a at least it's probably a little more like, it's a little bigger in Ogden where we grew up because we have the Weber River and everything up there. But like, that's like a pastime up there is like just getting really hammered
and floating.
Yeah. And floating on the river. And
it's not a lazy river.
No, it's not. It's not a
very active river.
It's very scary sometimes. And I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to like water stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of drowning.
No.
But like if you go out into these rivers, they're usually pretty crowded with people and they've got floating coolers and they're just like slamming beers.
Yeah.
And they're just hammered while floating. And so the state parks department was just like, okay, if you're on a river, no matter what vessel you're on, you have to be wearing a Coast Guard approved life jacket.
Sure.
So is that an infringement on our freedom?
I'm just going to come back to the same thing every time. Like, we do not have any inherent right to float on that river, in my opinion. That is probably state-owned land.
Yeah.
So the state gets to mandate what you do on that land.
Yeah. Again, it's like floating on those rivers is a privilege. So please. And they're just like sick of cleaning, bodies out of the river. So they're just like, at least if you're going to drown face down floating on top of the river and then we can scoop you up. It'll be easy to find. So yeah, life jackets, you're required to wear those. And then this one is my favorite because when I pulled these together, I actually looked into the laws. So I'm like, is this actually required? Like, could you be fined or charged if you don't abide by these? So the third one is pants and genitalia coverings. And the reason why I say genitalia coverings is because that seems to be the only thing specified in like indecent exposure laws.
You can't show your genitalia?
You can't show your genitalia.
Okay. Interesting.
So don't do it.
Fair.
I also, because like I know that the hard line, no pun intended, is genitalia.
Sure.
So like you can't, show your private parts, but I wonder how much you could get away with, because I don't know if you could walk into, like, you could send like a woman into a Harmon's in a bikini.
Yeah.
I think if they were wearing a bikini, even if they were wearing shoes or something, someone might say something.
I think so.
But I wonder what the line is.
Harmon's is a fine establishment, though.
Yes, very fine establishment. And
we're talking about like a Dan's Market. No offense to Dan's Market, but like...
Yeah.
Might be able to get away with a little more in a Dan's Market or like a Kent's or a Weiniger's.
That's how we make judgments on grocery stores now. It's like you could get away with like whitey tidies and a polo t-shirt. You could Donald Duck it in a Smith's, but in a Harmon's, they're going to call you on that.
Yeah.
That's
no ducking it here.
Or in a Dan's Market or a, though, you can get away with pretty much anything at Reams. Like you can shop naked there.
True.
Yeah, it's
true.
It's the Wild West over at Reams. I think a fun experiment would be to because like grocery stores are one thing, but let's set a bar for how much skin you can get away with showing in public.
Sure.
We're gonna send Dan
to
town hall meetings.
Okay.
throughout a month. And every town hall meeting, we're going to send you in shorter shorts.
Okay.
And then we're just going to keep going until you finally get kicked out of the town hall meeting.
It's probably going to happen quick. I have really, really white legs.
So they're just going to glow from the back of the room.
Be like, hold on.
What's that glare?
What is this? It would be the first pair of shorts, honestly.
They're just like, cover your knees, son.
Yeah.
Or if I go the other way, they're just like, why does this guy in the Speedo keep coming to these town hall meetings?
Have you no decency?
Anyway, so those are 3 things that you're required to wear by law. So as you can see, our liberties have already been infringed upon, and we are already living in a communist hellhole. Moving on to Lagoon, who seems to be coming, I feel like once a year, every season they come out with like a new attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did anything this year because of everything that's going on, but usually they come out with like a new attraction every year. But I also feel like it's kind of annual tradition for them to be in the news for something really weird.
Yeah.
And like kind of sketchy. This actually wasn't picked up by any of the local news outlets, but we found it on Twitter and I thought it was really interesting to discuss. So Lagoon, the amusement park in Farmington, came under fire from local designers after a Facebook post advertising a design contest for their new line of face masks. So basically they put a contest on their Facebook page asking for designers to send in submissions for a cool design for their new face masks they want to sell in their parks.
Mm-hmm.
And this all kind of unfolded on Twitter and Facebook, but some of the local designers who saw it, they just commented and they asked, oh, well, is there going to be pay? Are we going to get any money for this?
A normal question to ask.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable.
It's an exchange of goods.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting some work into this, or am I going to get some money? Rather than be like, oh, okay, we kind of see where you're coming from. That's interesting. Yeah, we'll figure out a way to pay you guys. They said no. They dug in their heels and they said this is not a paid contest, but we're going to give you a list of reasons why designers would benefit from this contest. They literally made a list of justifications for not paying artists, and they lettered them, so it's all nice and organized. And it goes from A to H.
We know designers are really, really big on organization.
Yes.
So the fact that they put them in alphabetical order was really nice, I think.
Yeah, and they used big words, and they used the word independent a lot. So, artists like that.
They do.
I should say at the top, they did delete this, and so...
Did they delete the comment or the contest in general?
Everything.
Okay.
So they canceled the contest. I'm assuming they canceled it because they were like ungrateful little twerps. Also,
would you ever want money for your hard work?
Yeah. I think I see it as a victory, though, that they just took the whole thing down and they're not going to be, mining local artists for their hard work and no pay. But big thanks to local designer Alicia, I think that's how you pronounce her name, for sticking up for the artists, against the huge shadow of big amusement park here in Utah. Okay, so we're going to go down all these. So I basically kind of edited out all of the actual comments because there was a little bit of back and forth between Lagoon and designers. The comment that I wanted to focus on is the list of benefits that they proposed in lieu of an actual paycheck for these designers, because I think it's pretty hilarious. So I'm just going to go down. Reason A that Lagoon doesn't want to pay artists, or reason or benefit A, I guess you could call it. It's an opportunity for your work to be professionally reproduced for a mass audience.
Yeah, that translates just into like it's an opportunity for us to make buckets of money off your hard work.
And it's kind of another way to like mass audience probably sounds a lot more appealing than exposure.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing. And all you're going to do if they really believe that it's like a source of pride to see like your design on people's faces.
Yeah.
Just think of how much better it would be if you also had a paycheck.
Yeah.
That's exactly. A source of pride.
Also, I don't know how they're going to like give people credit. Like if you're going to say, oh yeah, you're going to get exposure for making our masks that we sell in our theme park. Like, is their name going to be on the mask?
Yeah. Are they going to tag them in every photo that the mask is present in? It's just,
how do any people that design any of their merchandise get credit for any of that stuff? Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. Maybe they post on their Facebook, this person won. But again, I think people would rather have a paycheck.
That's a one-time thing, Yeah.
Line item B, benefit B. Okay. Quote, the opportunity to help bring awareness to your community about the importance of protecting others. So
how is that the responsibility of the artist?
I don't know.
Like how is, if someone's like, will you make a design for my cancer walk. Maybe I shouldn't go down this road.
No, you can. Where are we going with that?
I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't.
Well, I mean, but the cancer walk isn't going to make a profit off of the logo that you make for their. If you design a logo for a charitable 5K, they're not going to make money off of that. So it's a little bit different. If Lagoon is going to make a mask and charge $10 for it and make a bucket, you can't even give like a percentage or anything like that. Even just an upfront, like, hey, $500 to whoever wins.
Yeah. Like I get to spread awareness while you get to like spread that sweet, sweet cheddar that you're making off my design. Like I just don't understand how that falls onto the artist.
Benefit C is another opportunity. And this opportunity is to receive the professionally produced mask free of charge without having to invest in setup fees and minimum order fees.
I think that is such a good benefit. Like I'm surprised they buried the lead here. Like I get a mask that I designed. That's quite amazing. Also, you can already get a free mask. You can
anywhere.
Utah has an entire program, coronavirus.utah.gov/mask. They'll give you a mask. You just fill out a form.
Boom.
They'll send you a mask. It might have some weird Tea Party imagery and gun stuff on it. I know that was in the news recently, but
that really did happen.
But it might just be a solid color. So if you want a free mask or you need a free mask, you can get them virtually anywhere. Go to a grocery store anywhere in Salt Lake County right now. They're handing out masks at the front.
Also, I feel like if you were walking around with a Lagoon mask, like people are like, were you at Lagoon? What are you doing at Lagoon right now?
Exactly. Yeah.
You hanging out at Lagoon these days?
Yeah.
Who's at an amusement park? Anyway. Okay. Benefit D, being involved in your community, and help a business survive through a pandemic that is crippling businesses throughout the country. So essentially, by creating a mask for them to make a profit off of, you're helping your community by helping Lagoon survive this pandemic.
Yeah. I'm worried far more about Lagoon than how I'm going to like pay rent at the end of the month.
Yeah. Right?
It's like, look, I know that I can't afford to buy groceries right now, but at least Lagoon's going to stay open.
It's like, yeah. And you know what? All that theme park money, all the ring toss money, all the churro money, that trickles down, son. That trickles down right into our community.
Truly.
It goes from the top of the cannibal straight down into our pockets. And it's a trickle down theme park.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Reason or benefit E. We work professionally with independent artists in our community for projects like our street art, murals, printed marketing materials, environmental design projects, in parentheses, beer garden and a candy store, Christmas cards, etc. So essentially they're saying we tap into independent artists to make design projects from art installations to marketing materials. I'm a little worried that they might have a whole, underground dungeon of just independent artists that they do all their shit for free.
Yeah.
Are none of these people getting paid?
I'm going to walk into the pharmacy next time and be like, look, I pay doctors all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay for these pills. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I pay doctors all the time.
Yeah.
I paid a chiropractor. I've paid a therapist. I've paid any number of doctors, and you want me to pay you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And they're like, we work with independent artists. That's why you should come work with us. But
for free.
Yeah. So now I'm genuinely concerned. Are any of these people like, what if their design budget is $0 and everything from the Lagoon logo to the logos on each of the rides and everything, all that stuff was designed for free?
We're gonna dive into this, and it's gonna turn into one of those really extensive conspiracies. You got string all over boards. We're connecting dots here, Pepe Sylvia type shit.
This is where the conspiracy starts. Where are all their design materials coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, so benefit F. And this is getting repetitive at this point. I think
Yes.
I think they ran out of reasons at D, and they're just like stretching everything out for these last few.
When we get to G, I think that goes ahead and it proves your point that they're really stretching it.
Yeah. So benefit F. Our shows are created by independent artists, choreographers, and lighting designers. Again, are these people getting paid?
Yeah.
If you work for Lagoon right now, if you're hired to do creative work for Lagoon, blink twice if you need help. I'm really getting concerned because they're citing all these people that they work with, but they're like, look at all these other benefits besides a monetary check. You know,
It's amazing. It's amazing. And honestly, I've driven past Lagoon on my way up to Ogden, a few times in the past month or so. They got lines. They got lines out the parking lot. Like
people are still going.
Yeah, people are going. I think you have to make a reservation. You have to wear a mask in line now. Great. That wasn't the case at first. I think they got a little bit of pushback when they didn't require masks or incredible social distancing. But I just always find it so fascinating how you said earlier, like creative work is often just thought of as something that should be done for exposure or, for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure Lagoon would not react so kindly if I was like, you're going to give me a free season pass and free churros, please. And
what if even that? What if they were just like, you get a free season pass if you win this thing?
True. Yes.
Like just that. How much cost is that? Like, I'm sure they have
them.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a number. Like, oh, it costs us this much to open up the park every day, or it costs us this much to serve this many guests. But the cost has to be so minuscule for one person who's going to make you a shitload of money.
Absolutely. They're going to make so much money. These masks aren't selling for less than $20, I bet.
Yeah, I know, right?
But I just think, like, if I said, okay, you give me a season pass and lifetime supply of churros, and I will post about you on Instagram.
That changes the whole game.
Once a week, I'll post about you on Instagram. They're going to slap me in the face.
Yeah.
And say, no, you have to ride this sky ride back and forth 20 times as punishment.
Oh, no. Okay, so reason G, or benefit number G. Benefit letter G. Line item. I just still think it's so bizarre that it's just like A, here's this reason, B, this reason. We hire local singers, dancers, and costume designers. Also, artists.
Yeah.
That is my favorite comment.
Absolutely.
Because it double dips on the whole point. So they hire local singers, dancers, costume designers, and also artists. It's like me saying, I love eating carrots, potatoes, broccoli, and corn, but I also love eating vegetables.
Truly.
And finally, that brings us to benefit H on why you should work for Lagoon for free. Our television commercials are produced by independent filmmakers who live in Utah. We value artists. They said that in all caps.
All caps.
With an exclamation point.
They were mad at that point.
We value artists, and that's why we will not pay you to design our masks. I saw a lot of fist slamming when he wrote that.
Yeah, you sound like JFK.
Did I?
Ask not what Lagoon can do for you, but what you can do for Lagoon.
For free. But filmmaking is so logistical and so labor intensive and so tough that there's no way that they're doing this for free. Especially, I've seen their commercials and they're nice. Yeah. They're like, they look really good.
It's far too expensive to do something like that for free,
Yeah. So E through H, benefits E through H are just listing off different types of creative people that work for Lagoon.
For money.
All of them have been labeled as independent artists. And that's why they're not paying people? So are none of these people getting paid?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Anyway, thank you to Alicia for sticking up for local artists. I thought that was really funny. And again, they did take it down. And so hopefully they learned their lesson. I hope they didn't take it down out of spite. I hope they actually saw what people and local designers were saying. And, if you want design work and you don't work in the creative field, pay people.
I do think it's one thing to have a contest like Salt Lake is currently having a contest for a flag design. They're not going to be selling that flag, Yeah. That's something that I genuinely do think is interesting and cool. And I would see myself and others participating in is creating a flag is a cool thing to do, I feel like. And they're not going to sell that flag to hundreds of people for $20 and be like, you get none of this.
See, that should be the bar for exposure.
Yeah.
Because I created the symbol for an entire state.
Yeah.
And I did it for free. Well, that's good exposure.
Truly.
It's in front of every state building.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Yeah, and I do think if it's for something, and again, it's case by case, but if you're trying to make money off of the designs of someone, think about paying them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you're trying to get design work for a charity or something like that, then you can talk to a designer, and a lot of times designers will be like, "Oh, that's how I can help out. That's how I can come bring something to the table and help a cause. And a lot of people will do that. But if you're planning on making money off of someone's design, just fucking pay them. Okay, so bars across Utah are asking for mercy from Utah lawmakers so they can shift business practices during the pandemic and serve alcohol on the go. If you want to follow this kind of developing on Twitter, just search the hashtag #SaveUtahBars. Quarters, the arcade bar downtown, they seem to be the biggest kind of proponent. They're the like most vocal about this whole thing, and they've been doing interviews. Utah Booze News, which is a really good podcast that Ben Winslow and is it Kathy Stevenson?
Kathy Stevenson, yeah.
From Salt Lake Trib. They do a podcast about booze policy or alcohol policy in Utah. And they did a really good interview with the owners of Quarters, Katie Willis and Michael Eccleston. I'm sorry if I butchered those names. But essentially they're asking for lawmakers to kind of release or loosen up some of the restrictions that they currently have on alcohol sales to allow bars to serve cocktails in sealed packages for consumers to buy and drink at home. And the way I listened to the interview on Utah Booze News, and the way that they kind of described it was like how you can buy like Moscow Mules in cans in liquor stores, stuff like that. But the bars would be kind of crafting signature cocktails themselves and then finding a way to either can it or seal it in some way and then sell it out the door or sell it delivery or,
Got you.
So
it's almost as if the governor could loosen up some restrictions for COVID.
Oh, so you're saying we're an orange alcohol state.
Yeah.
But orange used to mean this, but now it means
orange
this.
can mean this in these extenuating circumstances.
Oh, interesting. So what I want to know is how would alcohol to go change the way that you buy and consume alcohol? Do you think it's something that you would use?
If they are providing it in a sealed container, I could see myself doing it. I don't know. I'm typically more of just a beer guy. I have the occasional vodka cranberry, which unfortunately doesn't take much.
It's a little too easy.
It's a bit too easy for me to just be like, all right, I got my cranberry juice and I got my vodka and I can mix those myself.
Does the idea of delivery kind of change?
No, I haven't had a single thing delivered to my house.
Really?
In COVID, yeah.
What? Not even like Amazon packages?
Well, no, I've had Amazon packages delivered to my house. But I think that I'm just a bit too much on the precautious side in terms of things. Like when I go to the grocery store, I wear gloves, I wear a mask, and when I get home, I wipe down every single item I bought with an like a Lysol wipe. Like a Lysol wipe, and then I let it sit for 10 minutes, and then I put it away. If they're sealed, maybe.
I think they have to be sealed because of open container laws. So if any alcohol is traveling in any type of vehicle, it has to have a seal on it.
Yeah.
I think you could even get in trouble for having a flask, even if you weren't like drinking it or anything. If you have a flask because it's not sealed, you can get in trouble for that. And I think the idea here would be like, they're canning them or they're sealing them in some way, and they're just like selling them out the door and mass producing them. I guess kind of the way that Fisher's doing, where they're still brewing.
Sure.
And they change up their menu each week and they can certain things, and then when they run out, they're out.
I mean, I wish that the state of Utah had a bit looser of laws in general, because I've seen a lot of states doing kind of these take-home kits, and it gives you, and I think that has much more of an appeal because it's almost an activity that you get to do. It's like a take-home kit for Moscow Mule or a take-home kit for an old-fashioned or whatever. Like
a bar kit.
Yeah, I really like that idea much more than just like maybe I would use it. I'm honestly not sure. I just don't drink liquor that much.
Yeah, and sometimes the like the things that they sell, the like kind of pre-made cocktails that you find at like liquor stores are a little, I'm not saying that like our local bars would be like this, but they sell shots like that are like sealed and you just peel the plastic off and take a shot. It always feels a little dirty. Like,
it does.
I'm not down with like those weird things, but I feel like it would be a different story if people were like producing, like craft cocktails. Like maybe Quarters has a signature cocktail that they make and they can sell it out the door and stuff. For me, like so since this whole pandemic happened, I've been, I think like a lot of other people, consuming alcohol, not at an unhealthy level, but a little bit more. Yeah. It's like kind of become ritualized a little bit, and I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm trying to keep less alcohol in the house. So, and kind of plan out my drinking. So it's like, okay, like I'm not quitting drinking, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drink on Friday nights or Saturday nights only.
Yeah.
And it can't be before this time. And I think that this type of thing would kind of be cool in that sense where I know I'm gonna, game or something on Friday night. I want to have a couple drinks. So I'm just gonna order 3 drinks from a bar and go pick them up, and then I have them here. I mean, I've been doing that with Fisher beers.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Fisher and I get like a few crowlers and then have those. But still, I think it gets it's still a little bit more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you're doing the delivery thing, alcohol, which is expensive anyways, like sometimes you're paying like $9 to $15 per cocktail.
Sure.
Then you factor in tips and delivery fees, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of starts to add up, and in these kind of rough times, I don't think a lot of people are going to kind of jump for that immediately.
No, yeah, I agree.
But I do think like that the thing that they're asking for is something that we should do. I wonder if it's just an open container thing, because can you buy you can buy strong beers from Epic, can't you?
Yeah.
Like from the brewery?
From the brewery.
And I think even like Squatters across the street, do they have like High Point?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It just can't be on draft. It's just, if it's canned, you can buy it. Just like as you said at Fisher, you can buy the higher percentage alcohol. It just can't be on draft.
But again, it kind of just brings to light like all of the silly things that all the silly kind of regulations that Utah has for seemingly no reason. And I mean, I like the way that the owners of Quarters are kind of framing it, because they're kind of holding the Republican, not to make it about that or anything like that, but Republicans are about business and industry, and Governor Herbert's a Republican, so they're like, this is a pro-business move.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, sometimes these silly regulations that exist for apparently no reason. I mean, like we already have 0.05 for the DUI limit now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're okay. We're not going to drink and drive. We already know that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how about you loosen this stuff up so we can, be adults and keep, because that's the important thing, I think, with this whole thing, this whole alcohol to go thing, is not that we have a looser system for buying alcohol. It's that we now have an option for people who want to support local bars to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And like, these bars are kind of in a corner right now where they
really are, especially a bar like Quarters, where you're an arcade.
Yeah, that was like the whole appeal.
I can't think of many places I'd like to go less right now
than an arcade. Yeah, so like they're like, I would have to imagine that that's like their whole business model.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have to be struggling, but
they have to be, and you can only. I'm sure they've tried like vouchers and gift card type things, but you can only go so far, and I don't even know if you can get gift cards for that sort of thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that Utah just needs to kind of get out of its own way and allow people to have the option to support local businesses. Because again, we still if you just loosen that up, and you can, if you really want to get into Utah's alcohol regulation, go listen to Utah Booze News, because they cover a lot of different aspects of it and why it's kind of wacky compared to. I've always said that that podcast is the perfect example of content that would work in Utah and nowhere else, because that really is interesting. And the people that they talk to from the DABC and stuff like that, they shed a lot of light on what's going on in Utah. But even with these regulations kind of loosened up, we'd still be one of the strictest states.
Mm-hmm.
Butte, Montana. I have some family that lives up in Butte, Montana. If you go to Butte, you can walk into a bar and order a drink, and they're going to ask you if you want it in a glass or if you want it in a plastic cup.
Yeah. Because
you can walk out of the bar with your drink.
You can just walk around.
You can walk around anywhere you want, and it's the Wild West there, and it's awesome. It's so fun. Butte might seem like kind of a little Montana. It's like a small mining town. Mm-hmm. It's really cool though. They got a lot of cool stuff up there, and it's got one of those really sketchy prohibition pasts.
Yeah,
that's really fun to look at. But every time I go up there, it's always a party. The most recent restriction that they made on that whole law was they finally put their foot down in, I think 2013, 2014, where they were like, okay, we'll keep the open container stuff. You can walk around with your drinks, but you can't have a drink in public between 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. And that was
a cutoff now.
That's where they tighten the restrictions. So they're like, okay,
things get really weird after 2 a.m.
If it gets 1:58 a.m., dump that drink.
Yeah,
get it off the streets. But if you want to keep going at breakfast, just come back at 8 a.m. You can keep going, keep rallying. So I would say, yeah, if this is something that you're interested in supporting, search the hashtag Save Utah Bars, and, you know, do the rounds, write your representatives, call people, and find ways to support these guys. Because
Absolutely.
They need it.
We're gonna need it when you know, when COVID's done.
Yeah.
We're gonna need some semblance of normalcy, and I have a hard time believing that, you know, a life without bars is gonna be just a ton of fun, socially speaking.
Yeah. I, for one, want to get back to like enjoying public settings again.
No, absolutely. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I bet I'll be nervous at first.
I know, like it's gonna like that first Friday back at Fisher.
I mean, if it depends on what kind of normalcy we're talking here. I think that like I've legitimately just like not been to a restaurant. I've not been to, because I know restaurants are open.
Yeah.
I know that like you can eat on a lot of patios. I don't even trust that really.
No.
Like I just,
And on like, and if you look at, I mean, I drove by a cafe downtown, got a patio. I'm not gonna name names or anything, but I drove by and I saw the patio was full, and there was like 2 people wearing masks, and the server wasn't wearing a mask.
oh, wow.
Dude, that
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
no, and no one's saying anything. Like, I would probably, like, I don't want to be dramatic, but I would probably get up and leave.
Oh, absolutely.
Just feeling weird about it. Like, I wouldn't be comfortable eating in that environment. And so this is what happens when you don't have like mask mandates. And
Truly.
again, we're not trying to get too political. We're not the professionals on this thing, but I mean, the sooner we can crush this thing, the sooner we can get back to playing arcade games at Quarters.
Taking pictures in front of their neon signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies love it. Men want to do it too. We just can't.
That's good. That's good marketing for Quarters Bar. Ladies love it, and men want to do it too.
We are the bastards keeping them down, I think, is kind of the point there. I can't.
Exactly.
I can't very well go into the ladies' restroom and say, hey, don't let the bastards keep you down, because I'm the bastard then.
Yeah, you're the,
you know?
and Utah's the bastard in this situation.
Truly. Don't let the bastards keep
I completely
you down.
forgot that was the neon sign in there that everyone takes pictures of. That's funny. Utah, quit being a bastard. You're keeping us all down. And on that note, that's going to do it for the Holy Hive Show. Thank you for tuning in, and we will be back next week. If you want to support us, go to holyhiveutah.com. See what the company's all about, what the website's all about, and we're going to be rolling out some more video content, other things throughout July. Follow us on Instagram and check us out on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.